Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Discord, we got Josh.
Hey,
Sorry if I sound a little stuffed up. That is because my nose is currently very stuffy as I'm sitting at home with a cold, but that is not going to stop me from sitting here and previewing Clash in Paris coming up this weekend. We got 5 matches announced at time of recording, and let's take a look at this good old fashioned Donnybrook match. Sheamus Rusev, they've been going back and forth, brawling through the crowd. Is this the climax of their feud, or is this just the next step, do you think?
honestly, with Sheamus, I never know. Um, because this is a match he's done a few times, and he's kind of like 50-50. He's won it, he's lost it. I will say this, Rusev better hope that if he does win it, he follows what Drew McIntyre did afterwards, because Drew McIntyre then became a world champion not long after. So, uh,
Yeah,
I
for
say
me, I
I'm
feel like it is the next step. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It feels like they've got more in the tank, even after they do this match. I think officially they're 1-1-1 at the moment. You do this one, maybe Sheamus picks it up. It is his match per se, and then Rusev can continue have his match. These two do still have juice in the tank when it comes to the feud, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, uh, that's the thing. I don't know. It's hard for me to say that if Rusev doesn't win, does it, uh, is there a reason to continue? Uh, that's the thing that's got me hung up because I really don't know. I don't know what the plan is here. I think we've named like this is going to be like the best of seven thing. Uh, but we don't really know. This could just straight up end after this match. Um, and the reason, so I'm going to go with Rusev winning simply because you said it's Sheamus's match. It's his match title. Typically, people who invent a match type, quotation marks, don't usually win it that often.
You're not wrong. I do think the odds may be in Rusev's face here. I think he might be able to pull it out. It all depends on where they want to go, as you say. If this is the end of the feud, what do you do with Sheamus after this? What do you do with Rusev after this? And if either of those two is about to go up the card, go for a mid card title, etc., it does feel like it's gonna be Rusev. And so, if this is the end, he's the one who needs the momentum coming out of this match. So, I'll put my money on Rusev as well. We also get a singles match continuing the Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns storyline, but it is the Tribal Chief versus the Tribal Thief, Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed in a singles match.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Bronson Reed's about to get killed. It's pretty simple. Uh, it's the old never bet against Roman Reigns thing, but also it's Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. Who would you really expect to win the match?
Yeah, the never bet against Roman Reigns stuff comes in, when he's facing the Seth Rollinses of the world, the main event top 5 guys. In this case, it would take some pretty big shenanigans for Bronson Reed to come out with the win, and Seth Rollins is preoccupied with defending his championship this night as well, so there's possibility that they try and do some sort of screwy finish here, but most likely this is Roman Reigns getting his shoes back.
Yeah, but if anything, I can definitely see them maybe having Braun Breaker like get involved, and maybe that's how Bronson Reed wins. Uh, because honestly, outs- outside of that, or some mystery member that we don't know about for this group, there's no reason Bronson Reed should win. So, yeah, I'll go with winning, but I would not be surprised if Braun Breaker breaks Roman Reigns in half in the match, and that's what causes Bronson Reed to get his biggest win of his career.
Yeah. It feels like this is one of 3 matches, right? You do Reigns v Reed, you do Reigns v Breaker, and then Reigns can get his hands on Seth Rollins. And with with Crown Jewel coming up in Australia, I thought maybe they'd do it the other way around. They'd do Breaker first. They'd save Bronson for Crown Jewel, but we'll see what happens. Maybe the tag team match hidden through there, but it is the hero on his way up after being beaten down, going against the lower tier villains. When his ultimate goal is Seth Rollins, he's just got to get through these two to get there. And let's talk about Seth Rollins, the current World Heavyweight Champion. He will be defending his title in a fatal four-way match. Standing opposite him will be CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight.
This is going to be the match that gets shenanigans galore. Because there are reasons for everybody to have something happen to in this match. And it probably will, since a fatal four-way is technically no disqualification, so anything can happen. At the end of the day, Seth Rollins will retain, but it will be probably entertaining to see how they go about each getting it to that point.
Yeah, I think I'd be shocked to see them move the title off of Seth Rollins already. He does have that new champion buff. As you say, Seth Rollins kind of feuding with the entire roster. There is a billion people around Jey Uso kind of bleeding into the Bloodline storyline as well. CM Punk doesn't have the hugest amount of friends either, so I do think it will be Seth Rollins with the victory, with the World Heavyweight Championship still in hand. Is it Paul Heyman? Is it Bron Breakker? Something's going to lead to Seth being able to walk out with this championship for sure.
Yeah. And also, we're looking at this match, this Fatal 4-Way. You see Seth Rollins, and then you see three people that are potential War Games match opponents on the other side for him.
Yeah.
And then throw in Roman Reigns. And so then you need to get a fourth, at the bare minimum, a fourth for Seth Rollins. So my proposal, Omos.
Yeah. Well, obviously everything now starts to turn our heads towards Survivor Series, towards those War Games matches. We do have Crown Jewel, but that is typically champion v champion, not the most storyline in the world. We just sort of bump our way through it, and then we go to Survivor Series where we do want to continue that. I think you're right. Roman Reigns very clearly against Seth Rollins' crew in this. Seth Rollins does have those three opponents. If you did really want to roll Sheamus Rusev into it, go nuts, but it's where we're headed for sure. And interested to see, as you say, who will be at least the fourth man on the Seth Rollins side. Is it going to be a fifth man on each side? We've seen a few different configurations of how these War Games matches can play out. So yeah, interested to see what what Survivor Series ends up looking like for us.
Yeah. By the way, I do have to point out something when you said that we have to right back around to the Roman Braun Breaker stuff. That you said that, and then but you forgot they announced this week a pay-per-view in September between now and Crown Jewel.
That is true.
So you could easily have Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestlePalooza.
I can blame it on the illness. I can blame anything on the illness this week.
Yeah.
Even though it was genuine forgetting, there is quite a number of shows this year. Big ones, as you say, WrestlePalooza as well. And I think Worlds Collide in there in the middle is there as well. But yeah, there's definitely chances to push that through or to build to War Games in a different way. It does feel like we are going to get Seth Rollins versus the Faces in that, but also over on SmackDown, it does feel like we're going to get the Bloodline being involved in one as well. Maybe the woman not necessarily in one this year. We'll have to see what Survivor Series ends up holding for us.
Yeah, I think part of that is I think any chance that the women, the majority of their chance of the women having a War Games match, I think it eroded and disappeared the moment Liv Morgan got it. Because I think that probably was the plan, was to eventually have Liv Morgan and a team of acquaintances. I don't know what to say because I don't think a lot of people like her at this point, versus the Judgment Day ladies and their acquaintance. So, but yeah, I think it probably is going to be Bloodline 2.0 stuff on one side for SmackDown, and then the Raw main event scene for the Raw side for War Games.
Yeah, well, let's talk about those women. We do have a Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch coming in as champion opposite Nikki Bella.
Well, I will say this: they've made it interesting. Uh, I don't want to. I never wanted to see a match. I still don't, but they made it interesting. Um, and I don't think Nikki is going to beat Becky. But honestly, with the Bellas, I never say never, ever.
Yeah, they're not quite on the level of Roman Reigns where I wouldn't bet against them, but it is always an option or always a chance that they do come out on top. I agree. I don't think that they're going to go that way. I think Becky Lynch with the title has a bigger payoff, whether that's to a younger star, whether that's going through a Bailey feud. There's a lot of the different ways that that could shake out and finish Becky Lynch's title reign. Nikki Bella isn't on the top of my list when it comes to this reign, but we'll see what sort of match these two can put together, and it continues again with the Intercontinental Championship having two main event talents. You know, love or hate her, Nikki Bella was up there and is a returning, I guess, like legend, Hall of Famer. Usually, if they were going to insert themselves into a title feud, it would be for, you know, a world title, for a WWE title. So inserting into an Intercontinental Championship again just elevates that title once more. And I talked about maybe rolling Rusev Sheamus into the War Games match on the Raw side, but there's a couple other options for you sitting at the end of this card. John Cena and Logan Paul going head to head as well.
I think the problem with that is that technically, I think Logan Paul is technically now assigned to the SmackDown roster. So I don't think he quite fits in with the bloodline. and he as a result, I don't think he also doesn't quite work with the Raw main event scene.
That's fair.
So, but I think it'll be I think it'll be an entertaining match. I think Cena wins, but I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, we're kind of in that piece now where we are winding down to the end of John Cena's last year. You got to figure out how they're going to use his last few dates as he does come out through to the end of the year. And there is obviously the ever looming figure over top of him after what happened at SummerSlam. And we know WrestlePalooza is coming up, probably the collision there. So it makes sense to give John this one, because I don't know if he'll be getting his next one. But yeah, I wouldn't be as surprised if Logan Paul did find his way onto Seth Rollins' team and Cena onto the other side, just to have it as a big clash. But Survivor Series is also the opportunity to have another John Cena singles match, tick off another name as a part of his sort of retirement-y run. And so there's definitely options for him in the rest of the year and his 10 odd dates that he has left. We'll also talk about the match that was meant to be. Stephanie Vaquer obviously meant to be challenging here for the Women's World Championship. Naomi announcing she's pregnant last week, sort of putting an end to that match. But Adam Pearce announcing this week on Raw that there will still be a shot for Stephanie to get that title, but very vague. A to-be-announced opponent at a to-be-announced date.
Yeah, my guess is they'll probably do like a fatal four-way or a tournament or something to name a contender for her, and they'll probably do it at WrestlePalooza. Because I think they're going to try to load that card up as much as they can so that it can compete with a certain other show.
Yeah, that is entirely fair. I hope that if Stephanie was, going to be going for it and taking the title, or, that we do still push ahead with that. I'd be quite happy with Stephanie going to the moon, personally. Well, It is roughly halfway through the show, and that means it's time to go into our entrance theme this week. And when we come back from it, we'll be talking about NXT Heatwave's results, and that is why we are playing the theme for Ash by Elegance. Back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. I'm Grady, he's Josh. NXT Heatwave. Let's just crack straight into that match. TNA Knockouts World Championship was on the line. It was JC Jane coming in with the title, double champ, going up against the former champ, Marsha Slamovich, and Ash by Elegance, who you may know formerly as Dana Brooke from her time in WWE.
I can't say that it's one of those weird times when I go back and say, I can't be more happy that I was wrong. We've always been huge fans of Dana, and I guess now we have to say her actual gimmick, Ash by Elegance. So I'm very happy for her. I want that to be said. I think she deserves this run, and I think part of maybe what maybe made them pull the trigger earlier than I thought they were going to was maybe the reaction people were giving to her promo on the Thursday before. Because I saw a lot of people really like and stuff. So I think maybe she actually played her way into winning this match.
Yeah, I guess coming out of it, there is obviously two very clear feuds you can do. Her and her crew, Heather and M, could go up against a Fatal Influence. But you also got Marsha Slamovich, who presumably isn't going to want to give up that title too easy and is going to chase pretty quickly as well.
Yeah. I will say it is very weird, and I think maybe it was by design, but it is very weird that it was TNA wrestler pinning a TNA wrestler to get the title off of an NXT wrestler. What if maybe they give JC Jane a rematch on the TNA special event, and so that way you can then have that be the payoff for it, because it does kind of hurt the payoff for this whole double championship thing to have it be that she lost the title without actually losing the match.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Obviously, for her NXT Women's Championship, she does have her next opponent, the opening triple threat of the night, Lola Vice, coming out on top of Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan. So we do know that JC Jane versus Lola Vice for that NXT Women's Championship will be down the line, and she may have to focus on that and sort of just give up the Knockouts World Championship, and maybe it's just going to be a blip on the radar that we're going to forget long term that she ever kind of had.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I like Lola Vice a lot. I think she's very seriously could be somebody who can actually beat JC Jane. I think they could really have her beat her at the next NXT event, which I think is going to be No Mercy.
Yeah, NXT got quite a few shows announced throughout this show, the airing. Almost one a month, I think, to the end of the year. No Mercy in late September, Halloween Havoc late October. Also an anniversary show in there as well, presumably Deadline in December. So plenty of opportunities for title changes. And I think if you'd asked me who's going to be the biggest threat to JC Jane, it would have been Jordynne Grace had she not been so busy with the Blake Monroe stuff. But maybe they go a different route. They switch over to a transitional champion, somebody who's a face, and then Blake Monroe takes that title. It does feel like either Blake or Jordynne is going to be the focal point for the next wee while, and how we get there or how long it takes for us to get there is the big question mark. But we know at least that at NXT Heatwave, Blake did come out on top.
Yeah, but as we kind of thought ahead of time when we were going over our predictions, this isn't the end. Blake had a match on NXT. I think it was Kalani Jordan. I might have to look that up again real quick. But yeah, it was Kalani Jordan. And she tried running away, and Jordan Grace basically just scared her back into the ring where she lost. So yeah, this isn't over.
No, it definitely feels like we're going to have at least one more, if not a couple. No Mercy, good place to have that as well. Can maybe switch it up. Maybe Jordan wins at No Mercy, and then we can head into Halloween Havoc, put a big stipulation on the match, and have
Yeah,
the big blow off there.
yeah, the good old fashioned spin the wheel, make a deal match.
Yeah, that would make a whole lot of sense to me. Uh, we also got new NXT Tag Team Champs. Dark State coming out on top of Hank and Tank, sadly for yourself.
Yeah, as I said last week, I like Hank and Tank. I like what they did. It just didn't make sense for them to beat Dark State here. Um, Even if I didn't really like the idea of it. But I guess we found out which two are going to be, at least initially, the holders of the title, with being Lennox and Griffin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it stays as just those two, or whether it is going to be thrown around. I don't fully know. We'll have to see as NXT moves on and continues. But yeah, it did feel like everything was lined up for a Dark State win, so not overly shocked by it. I want to see where it goes from here. I think it's always tough once you give the big like dominating and attacking group the titles, because now people need to come after them, which is a bit of a reverse of how they've been booked the last couple of months. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Um, and when it's a group that has more than two members that are holding a tag team title, you always know that there's going to be shenanigans involved until something eliminates said numbers. Uh, and that's going to be a problem. So I don't really know of a lot of tag teams in team in WWE right now that, or at least in NXT, that could potentially eliminate the extra numbers prior to taking on the title.
Yeah. So let's see how Dark State do go. It's obviously been only a couple days so far for their reign. Um, let's keep an eye on it. Now, this mixed tag team match, and I know we're going to end up crunching our Obafemi talk at the end, but this mixed tag team match, we had Team Canada going against Heights and Steel. Not the sort of reaction I was expecting heading into this match. The crowd is so behind Chelsea Green that they wrapped all the way around and started booing Tyra. And I think that continued this week on NXT as well, because we're just continuing this Chelsea Green versus Tyra May Steele, and not the greatest introduction to the NXT world to be getting booed against Chelsea Green.
Yeah. Well, it's just the sign of just how much people like Chelsea Green. That, for honesty, her character should not work as a face, but fans can make it a face without her doing it, just because they like the work she does. And again, last week when we were talking, we said we thought Team Canada would probably win, because of how well it was being received. But if there was anybody that was going to take the fall for Team Canada, it would have been Chelsea, and she would have been happy to do it. So maybe she'll lose directly to Tyra, put her over. At maybe again, no mercy. But it's interesting seeing how they're see if they can maybe somehow work this out with Steele, and maybe give Chelsea like breaking character and like putting actually like shaking her hand or something, trying to get her people to like really acknowledging her.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Tyra right now, but fingers crossed that they can pull something out of it. Now, quickly, just before we run out of time, Obafemi Javon Evans was the main event. Almost 18 minutes. Technically, Javon Evans did have a 3 count counted, but the original referee checked on Femi's foot, called it null and void. Obafemi continuing to be the ruler of NXT, and Ricky Saints popping out saying, "I got next," and declares himself number one contender and, writes it into the book officially this week on NXT by beating Josh Briggs.
Yeah, I think we just found out who's conquering the mountain. Oba family has been incredible. And I could definitely see it maybe some Javon Evans maybe working his way into that match. Because technically, as you said, he technically won the match. But a referee overturned it. So that gives him like some sort of argument that they can like work into it in the storylines. So I still think Javon Evans is going to be an NXT champion at some point in the near future, but I think maybe we just finally figured out that it's going to be Ricky Saints that's going to be the guy who does it.
Yep, that is definitely what it looks like in the future, but we have run out of time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D Upper, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D Upper, our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND Up. And we will catch you next week with the results from Clash in Paris.